Okay, this is episode 407, Something Stupid. Alison Tatlock wrote this one. Deborah Chow directed it. And I'm Peter Gould, the co-creator and executive producer.
Hi, it's Bob Odenkirk.
Melissa Bernstein, producer.
And Alison Tatlock, writer.
So who had the brilliant idea to do the split screen? Because when I read it in the script, I was like, this is so genius. Someone must have thought of it.
I blame Peter.
Has anyone ever thought of this before in the history of film? A split screen that sometimes becomes one and really juxtaposes life like this? It's really brilliant.
Wow.
Peter, this is your notion?
I can't get. It's the writer's room is a wonderful place, and what goes on there, who knows? It was somebody's idea, and I think it was all together. That was
Steve Sawhill, our lead man. Just saying, on the left side.
It's an interesting thing because Deborah, of course, really masterminded this. Deborah, but it was written. It like you said, Bob, it's written in the script, and most of these images are at least written in the script. But of course, the execution is, it's another thing altogether.
The scariest thing for me trying to articulate it were the moments when we cross the line.
Right.
So the moment that's coming up, we'll see in a minute with the wine bottle, for instance. I remember standing up in the room and almost acting it out and trying to act out the fact that there was a line,
right,
that my hand was going to cross the line, that
right,
the bottle was going to cross. So I was you, Bob. And then trying to articulate that so that it was clear to everybody else.
The director? Or?
To the director and to all of our entire amazing crew and the camera folks especially.
Yeah, I as soon as I read it, I was like, yes, of course, that's genius. I feel like it's so easy and fundamental to understand that's why it's like, didn't someone do this once?
They must have.
No one ever thought of this? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant way to pass time, to show these people drifting apart, but also still staying together.
Your perfume fills my head, the stars get red and all the nights so blue.
I was impressed, Bob, by how many times you guys had to brush your teeth. I have to say, I actually was a little worried about the gums of the actors, just having to brush teeth over and over and over again.
We had a medic on set.
Okay, good.
Just at the ready for bloody gums.
Fake brushing my teeth.
Okay.
It's Deborah. We have to give all kudos to Deborah, who unfortunately wanted to be here and couldn't be, because this was her first episode for us, and she said something very interesting that I heard. She said she basically tackled this as 2 episodes. This teaser was a whole episode's worth of prep, and then there was the rest of the episode. And she really did a wonderful job. There were people who I respect who read this and said, this could be our Waterloo. I really had I had a second thought because it's so many pieces on a television schedule, but it's just beautifully pulled
Vince
off.
himself read it and was like, thank God I'm not directing that.
That's right.
And so it's sad at the end. People are very moved by that last moment.
There's that little machine that you put your legs in and it's supposed to readjust your back.
Yeah, we'll have to find out when he gets that thing.
I want to
There's a whole
try
episode
that.
on that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
COP. You got a little Trina.
Trina is that the name of the real estate company is named after our prop genius woman who's been with us since Breaking Bad.
So
and
true.
The greatest.
She is. And she's also a stunt woman too. She's done stunts for us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, she's an actress.
Because this was shot as a one-er, Bob had to do the whole thing over and over and over.
Well, this was
quite
very
a feat.
challenging. This was very challenging.
Why?
On top of that montage that you just saw, then you got this. I mean, this is brutal. Because timing it out is so hard and the camera didn't fit through there. This little cutaway was not part of it, but they had to put a cutaway in because it was getting the camera through these doorways. This is just a regular place. There's nothing special about it. And you got a camera and rig around it, and moving around was just too hard. It always became herky-jerky and very hard to handle. So that cutaway.
And how about you were doing this
saved
direct-to-camera thing, right? Which is not part of our style on the show.
Well, this is tricky stuff, but risky, but, hopefully people find it engaging and and the story is told.
Get one of those snazzy Keurigs, put that in there. Stick a few potted plants around, make the place nice. What do you think?
It was an interesting scene to cut because there were so many great takes, and because we had to use those two big chunks. It was like which one is the one? And so we had to experiment quite a bit. I'm really happy with the way it came out. And of course, you two guys have chemistry. You and Lavelle have great chemistry.
I love him. He's so funny. He's just great. He's a great actor. He
He
did
is.
this great scene. I think it's in this episode.
It
right?
is,
Oh
yeah.
my God. I mean, he's a stand-up. And if you never watched him do stand-up, go on YouTube and watch some Lavelle Crawford. And he does a great job acting. Look here. Here we've got him. Here's the man from Breaking Bad now. Really shut down, tapping away.
He's so rageful. The way Mark plays this guy, he's so angry. It's like it looks like he could light a fire with his eyes.
Yeah.
And Purna came in, who plays the doctor, speaking fluently in both English and Spanish, which I was very impressed by.
She's terrific. She just has, you respect her. You just look at her and you respect her, and she has just a lot of gravitas. I really believe her as a doctor. And Leanne Gould was good sport here, who's playing the nurse. Not putting, just being what she is.
Yeah.
And Porter's character is unknowingly in between these underworld forces that are at odds in such an intense way.
That's true.
It's interesting how much is going on with Mark Margolis when he doesn't speak.
No.
He's done speaking on this show. And yet, behind the eyes, there's so much story being told here. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tour de force.
And we get the backstory on his communication tool of his finger.
Oh, yeah, I love that so much. These are my favorite scenes in this whole season, Peter. You know,
Really?
The scenes, oh, yeah, the scenes where Jimmy and Kim are just hanging out and like in between stuff and like trying to, I don't know, it's kind of like they're not scenes that move the plot forward, although everything moves the plot forward a little bit, really, but they're just like a couple hanging out. I fucking love it. And I think that it's one of the things that you can get when the actors genuinely like each other and know each other. Like that, it's easy to get an argument or even a love scene out of two actors who have no relationship because there's such strong emotions carrying you through. But that casual stuff that has a little, affection running through it, which I think we have a number of scenes in this season like that. I think you can only really show that quality if you have genuine relationship, which we do.
I love it too. And in the original break of this episode, when we were working on the story, we only had the one scene in the car. And then later we added the bookend of the other scene as you guys leave the party. And it was kind of the perfect solution.
Oh, good. And now he's measuring as though there's any way that shitty office, if it was only 2 steps shorter, he could sell it around that shithole.
It's not that much bigger, actually.
I love that can-do spirit, though.
But it's just a joke to think that he could compete with this. He can't compete with this world.
Yeah.
And but there you see that Kim's more motivated by people than by the fact that she's got that framed.
And a carefully selected typo.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I love what you say about Jimmy and Kim because there's a real relationship between these two, and even if there's not a life and death moment going on, they're fascinating to watch, and that's one of the things I'm proudest of is that we have a show where there's all kinds of mayhem going on, but in some ways the thing that you feel the most is just what's going on between these two, and kind of rooting for them, but also I'm a little bit worried for them too.
Of course, you should be. It's not going to work out. Look at Dennis Boutsikaris fucking kicking ass.
Oh yeah,
getting pushed around by this guy here in front of his employees, his high-end employees.
And City Geiger and Suzanne Savoy are back. We had them in Kim's initial interview at Schweikert and Coakley.
How do you guys keep these people together? How do you Dennis lives in New York and he shoots another show in Vancouver, and just, getting these actors out to be a part of the show is so wonderful to keep this world alive.
Bialy Thomas and Kira Rai do such a great job of keeping those relationships alive, and hopefully we make it a place people want to come back to. And that's to you, Bob and Ray, and the actors that you guys on your off days are having these rehearsals with people who are just coming on for the day.
Right.
And I think the actors find this to be a really unique experience because of that.
Well, it's a great group of amazing people who come in very oftentimes for one day from a long way away, but we do try to make it a fun experience. We know our way around Albuquerque now. Take everybody up to Tent Rocks. If you're going to Albuquerque, Santa Fe area, you gotta hike Tent Rocks. Please bring water and maybe a power bar, because it's actually harder than it looks, but it's not that hard. But it's harder than it looks, and it's just really cool. And we do all kinds of stuff together. Go out to eat and hang out together and rehearse, as you say, which we do.
I've had a couple of actors tell me that they feel more welcomed on this show than any other.
I don't understand sets where they don't do that, and I've been on them. Sets where you show up and no one even says hi to you. It's like, what? There's a new face there. Just say hi. It costs you nothing. Hey, did you shorten this, you guys, in editing?
We did.
Yeah.
We did. It's interesting. There was a little bit more at the end, especially, but Dennis's face.
I think he did a great job.
What you and Dennis did, kind of told the whole story, and we ended up omitting a bunchh of dialogue at the end, actually.
And this tells the rest of it.
And Ray too. Ray's expression through that entire sequence that we were just watching, I'm so impressed by just the nuance of everything passing over her face as the thing escalates.
Yeah, we have the advantage of having watched these scenes, some of them dozens and dozens of times,
yes.
And so you get to look And there's everybody is there and everybody's feeling it, and it's really nice.
I love that you shorten that. This is incredible. This is incredible. This setup, the scenario.
The soda water fountain where the lemonade springs and the bluebird sings in that big rock.
The challenge here was convincing Peter's daughter that this was the right song. she was in post for a little while.
She came in and she's like, she looked confused, but to me there was just a rightness to it. And this was another one that was short. There was some dialogue here between Mike and Werner, where Mike actually gave him those treats, the marzipan, and which is actually a deleted scene available to you, the purchaser of this digital set.
Do you know how much marzipan I ate because of that?
Really?
Whole
Lucky.
scene? So much.
Is it good? What is it?
I mean, it's pure sugar.
It's almond paste.
Yeah. It is a German delicacy.
You know, I think guys would go crazy doing this job, as you show them going crazy. They do. They would not survive it without a problem. As you know, as this season shows, they do. But anyway,
Deborah was so excited to be in the laundry because, of course, she was a huge Breaking Bad fan, and she pulled me aside at one point and was like, "Oh my God, can you believe this? We're here."
yeah, it's amazing, right? This world, it's pretty cool to see how that thing got built. And it would be a brutal job, right?
Absolutely.
I love this.
Hard to
Judy Rhea.
Judy Rhea, our production designer, and the whole construction team, everybody did because this is now we're on stage for this shot. We built this little transitional piece here, which is on stage. So when you go through the curtains, we're using that as a transition, and it works really nicely. And this scene, actually, we did something else. We shot this scene with anamorphic lenses. Just because we kept on talking about 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Marshall said, "What does that mean to you?" And we sort of broke it down and thought maybe it's the flares. And so just this one entrance scene we shot using anamorphic lenses, which yield those really interesting flares.
But it is like an otherworldly feeling, which seems right.
Oh. What is this scene? I can't remember.
This is Gus making the Pila Marina, which he makes in Breaking Bad for Jesse and for Walt.
Yeah.
This is also the same location we had for Gus's house.
The doctor, yeah.
On Breaking Bad. And Paula Dos Santos, who's our art director, told me she used to babysit in this house.
Yeah, she was having an out-of-body experience a little bit.
I love it.
How great is this guy, Giancarlo? And for people who don't know, he had a skiing accident during our season. And I won't go into detail, but he really shattered his foot and made it hard to finish the season and made it very hard for him. His life got really hard. But he did it.
This was, I think, among the last scenes that he shot before the accident.
Before the accident, huh? Okay. And then it laid him up for a couple of weeks. But
for 8, 9,
as you'll
and 10.
see, he got back and finished with some assistance, various kinds of assistance.
There's a lot of creativity.
A lot of creativity went into
Yes.
finishing
That's true.
The character of Gus in this season because Giancarlo was dealing with a lot of pain.
So we talked a lot here about what needed to be seen on the screen that they're watching in order to convey enough information that Gus, who's brilliant, would be able to perceive what was going on.
The cup. That was
A simple little thing, but he knows this guy pretty well.
Exactly.
And I agree with Gus on this, by the way. I feel like the intention is clear. I mean,
It's so twisted, though, that
well, it's
that Gus he can see that he's just aware enough that he's going to, like, bring paralysis to his forward momentum and his healing, and keep him in this prison.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Horrifying. Gus is the worst guy ever.
So
He
really,
wants to torture this old man.
This is evil.
On the other hand, the
on
old
the
man
other
is
hand.
the worst guy ever.
Yeah, there you go.
So the two worst.
They're in competition.
Jack Handy wrote a funny sketch at SNL. I think it was called Zombies versus the Bees. And it was like killer bees and zombies in a small town. And the police are like, well, let them fight each other. Just leave them alone.
I think that's the next AMC show.
And that's what we got here. These two guys like, all right, I don't know. I'm not on either side. Let them tear each other apart. Although I guess Salamanca's not coming after Gus. Not yet.
But he'll get him in the end.
He'll get him in the end.
Giancarlo just
Wild.
holds the screen.
he does.
Everything he does is so precise. It's just beautiful to watch.
Ah, it's great. He's so good. Giancarlo Esposito is so good.
This was the last scene that we shot in this episode. It was late at night.
Building this set was astounding. This is a set. This is not a hole in the ground. This is a fake hole in the ground with super high walls that look like dirt and a fake ceiling that looks like poured concrete from underneath. I mean, it's insane the amount of effort and how well done it is and how long it took. It took a long time. But I've got to say, I love that there's shows, a show like Breaking Bad, which has the superlab in it, and you go like, well, wait a second. How did you fucking build that? Come on.
It's kind of cool.
And you're like saying it was really hard. It was really hard. It cost a lot of money. And then shit went wrong.
Yeah, and with Gus, you don't know how many bodies are buried in the cement. It's laid in there.
And these guys have had enough of even doing this job.
It occurs to me watching this now that in this episode we have these two parallel male friendships, like unlikely male friendships that have evolved. We have Jimmy and Huel, and then we also have Mike and Werner. Sort of camaraderie.
Let's hope Jimmy and Huel turn out better than Mike and Werner.
So, Alison, did you have to write this in German?
I did. Well, I wrote it in English, and luckily for me, someone translated it in German. But yes, we wrote all of the additional dialogue, and then it was translated, and then some of our guys were more fluent in German than others of our guys, so there was some on-set coaching, and everybody did a great job.
I wrote a comedy sketch in fake German
Nice.
on SNL. It's called Die Squaren Ostberliner.
We should watch that in the room.
Billy Joel was the musical guest or the host and SNL, and it really played great. It was the East Berlin Hollywood Squares, and they're vacating. People are running across the, the wall had just come down that week or 2 weeks before.
It's awesome.
Anyway, go look it up on YouTube. It's
We
fun.
will.
And it's all pidgin German that we wrote without anyone helping us or making it okay.
We just see Jimmy pulling a few hairs. from
Yeah.
his
I
head.
think you did a good job here with this little mistake that happens with this cop.
In what
Well,
sense?
just everything about it. Like, look, you hit a guy with sandwiches, just like the fact that just the way in which Huel comes on him, and it does look like they're arguing, and hitting a guy with sandwiches isn't the worst thing in the world, but it'll get his attention, you know what I mean? Which is kind of a good thing to do if people are just tussling and like going, wake up, stop what you're doing. And then this cop is really vindictive, right? I mean, I gotta say, Jimmy's got a point. I wish I could go back and make a longer argument to Kim later in this thing. Because she's like, you're gonna ruin this policeman's life? He's ruining Huel's life.
That's true.
This guy's a fucking asshole. He's not a cop who's doing a decent job. He's a dick. and he's a cop, and he's causing more trouble than is remotely necessary.
And you don't think Jimmy's kind of amping things up on his own a little bit here?
He's hot. The heat's getting to him.
And it was literally so hot.
You sit in the van all day.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this is the day where people crawled out of the sewer behind us.
That is correct.
Wait, what?
Yes, behind.
People
so, like,
were-
this is really well played, you guys. So all he sees is an argument, and he sees some physicalization, and he whacks him with sandwiches, which isn't going to get you. Uh-oh, he's a cop. And then this.
Colby French was so good.
Like that you, in this, you offer this moment up right here, which is, so he's in the car, he probably should, he thinks he's going to be arrested now, and then these two guys finish their argument. Jimmy makes some good arguments. He's not in pain. He's fine.
Look, Colby looks a little sunburned. It was so hot.
It's an unfortunate turn of events that he had picked him up for the pickpocketing before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priors.
With the prior.
It's an interesting thing about the way we shot this season was we started, it was like in January, and it was freezing cold. And by the time we got to this episode, it was pretty damn hot.
It was like
I
a
believe.
desert sandstorm for me. I'd never been to Albuquerque before. I was like, is this what a desert sandstorm is like? And wasn't Peter DeSeth in that building back there?
Yes, that's what we've heard, that Peter DeSeth, who plays ADA Oakley, was helping a friend move from that building while you were shooting this scene.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. More Peter DeSeth, too. That would
Yeah, that guy's great. Really great. He's in a lot of trouble. He knows he's in a lot of trouble.
He is.
And this would just be hell. Can you imagine all these guys in one place like that with the fucking lights, those bright white lights?
No sunlight.
Oh, it would be horrible.
It'd be fine for a few months, but this went way
Peter,
over.
month?
Peter, no window.
I think 7 days.
Think of us in the
maybe,
writer's
5
room.
days.
No windows.
Oh.
We can only go out at night.
It's like we're being in a...
It was like Vince in Breaking Bad. Remember his office had no windows?
That's
See,
right.
here's what I would have done if I was designing it. I would have made different kinds of lighting in different parts of the room.
Smart.
So that you can walk into a... Yeah, because that's really what gets on your nerves is that.
That fluorescent kind of unrelenting light.
Yeah,
Yes.
It was expensive, too. You know, I'll tell you, if I ever end up working and sleeping in a warehouse for 6 or 8 months, I hope you design it.
Yeah. I would actually do everything that you did here. But for instance, around the TV, there would be better, quieter, darker lighting, and it would be sequestered a bit so that you really have some privacy into these different areas.
And maybe those special lights that when you have seasonal disorder that give you kind of
Oh,
the feeling of
Vitamin
sunlight.
D lights, yeah.
That's what these guys needed.
Oh, for sure. And also, I would not build a meth lab I wouldn't just build one at all.
You're so conservative.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not a risk taker.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
So Werner Ziegler, we love this actor.
Oh, God.
Oh, this guy's great.
Reiner is he's wonderful. Reiner is just,
Reiner
he's
Bach.
great. Yes.
And such a great connection between these two guys, which I'm sure you've talked about already.
Yeah. Rainer Bach is a great, great German actor. Does a lot of stuff in Germany, works a lot, all the time.
He's in a movie called White Ribbon, which is really worth your time.
Oh, yeah.
Nominated for an Oscar.
That's right.
We were pretty excited. Did you guys talk about this in a previous episode? That when we realized we could have houses within the warehouse.
That's true.
That was a big moment, Peter. I have to say you were on your feet because we were so excited.
Yeah, I get all amped up about this stuff.
I get it.
It's a great thing, great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that's it's sometimes inevitable with the show, but also a little frustrating is that you want all these characters to interact, but there's no way to get Werner interacting with Jimmy.
Right.
You know, but you'd love to have a scene between the two of them.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just true. It's sometimes you have to just let the story be the boss.
Maybe we'll just have a big party.
That's
and
it.
everybody can come together.
That's
have
it.
Have a drink.
karaoke party.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, good.
Wonderful job, Michael. You brought everything we could ask for.
Are they drinking real beer?
Definitely.
I hope so.
You got to go
Aren't they-
method with
yeah.
the drinking.
Wait, really? No.
Isn't that what you do?
No.
Can't do that.
No, what are they
You can't
drinking?
do it.
What are they
It's
drinking?
silent.
Actually, we had to work
Apple
on
cider
that.
Martinelli's?
Yeah, we special effects was helping at one point, and props, like, because there were taps involved. But I think it's apple juice.
Apple juice. There you go.
We had a little bit of carbonation in there at one point. So there was some non-alcoholic beer in one iteration. That might be this too.
Reiner said that in Germany, R&R would be considered rock and roll.
This is a really interesting scene that he's great in. Great. And the thing is, you guys, we were going to try to shoot. We were trying to shoot this outside. You know
That's
about
right.
that, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And then there was lightning. We got the first take done outside, but you know what? It didn't work outside at all. It had no energy in it. And you stick them in this hallway. Yeah, really a fun thing to do, that kind of take. But you stick them in this hallway where they're really kind of just in a corner, you know, and it gets intimate.
Yeah.
And they can really hear each other. And you don't, you know, when you're outside, you just have a different voice. And this is really like close.
Yeah,
you know?
the confinement helped.
Yeah, it really helped. It's something to think about when you think about. It was interesting. Thank God there was lightning, right?
I know, it's
God.
funny. We were so
I
disappointed.
promise you, it
because-
wouldn't have been half the scene.
I agree. The scene, this episode's pretty, interiors. So we were excited to have a scene outside and disappointed to have to move it in. But for performance and for the emotion of it, it was beneficial for sure.
It's just it works great. I have no, you know, sometimes the rain gods are working for you instead of against you. But it's an interesting thing you say, Bob, is that there's, you know, about the interior versus exterior.
Yeah.
We love this framing,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Beautiful framing.
And
And then the cut.
Yeah.
Magic Man.
great
Somehow
unscripted
Bob
match cut.
Bob and Deborah, I give credit for this
That's-
that match. It was so great.
And he has no idea what he's going to do.
No, I don't think so.
I'm a magic
He
man.
talks big. I just love him for it, though.
Oh, yeah, you got to be on his side. So here he is making his plea. Come on.
And there's so much that Kim has to catch up on in this scene, like that's been going on with Jimmy that she isn't aware of.
Yeah. They haven't been communicating, so.
Thinking. I did a little recon, and the arresting officer, he has a DUI, 8 years ago, and he's been put on desk duty twice. I know he has anger
Just
issues.
he's got such a wall of words, and she's following him.
Now, what's wrong with this plan? Easy to make him smell like you just spill some booze on him right before he goes out.
Right.
The plan itself is pretty good.
Then you piss him off, which is easy to do. This guy's got a short fuse, right?
Yeah, you're liking that plan.
Her
I
reaction
think
here
it's
is
an all right
amazing.
plan.
She doesn't seem to like it. I don't know.
Why doesn't she like this plan?
I don't know why. Look
really-
at her.
She really
It's not
takes
hard-
her
it's not
time.
challenging enough.
Yeah,
Too easy.
That's right.
Yeah, too
There's not
easy.
enough bus rides involved.
Well, she's thinking about it.
This I love. I love how you guys take your time, and just take that little moment, and it's wonderful.
This penal code thing I was worried about, and I actually called a lawyer friend of mine from the hotel to make sure that the language was correct.
Great. What's
Seems like you nailed it.
I think so.
I'm not tearing down a cop.
That's okay. You tell me.
I will look into this. I'm not making any promises, but if it is as bad as you say,
Boy, look at all the bank branches she's opened.
maybe.
And Jimmy's successfully delegated.
You know, this is the stuff that I really feel when there's a gap between these two, and when they're not connecting.
Yeah, it's pretty great because he is happy. She is agreeing to help. And yet there's this like, this Yeah, there's still tension there and a distance.
They're on the outs.
Is that what it is? I mean, every relationship
Yeah.
has good and bad times, you know?
It's so true.
She's back.
Doesn't mean it's got to be over.
And here's
Julie Pearl, who we love.
Julie Pearl, who was last seen season 2, I believe. And
ADA Erickson.
We went back and watched that great scene.
That's right.
And felt excited about her as an actor.
And this is a oneer, which is really nice. It's a nice, that whole little scene all in one shot, which really is clever and feels really good.
Pickpocket with a rap sheet attacks a cop in broad daylight.
What I love about this scene is that Julie is a worthy opponent to Kim. We've seen Kim and Ray roll over all these other characters, and this is not going to be so easy. And also, like I think Jimmy said in the last scene, it's not fair what they're doing to Huel. And I buy Kim's argument. I buy Jimmy's argument too. This is not fair.
Yeah.
But you know, he's in the system, and they're going to have to do something big to change things.
I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
But here she gets this cut on her, on Jimmy, and like seeing him through her eyes, like that's and to not react in the moment, like that's such an interesting moment in the scene.
And because Erickson is formidable and she is somebody that Kim respects, it hurts to hear that.
Suspended. State v. Cart.
She's got all her research.
Yeah, she's ready.
Yeah. This is so well written, by the way, Alison. I haven't said enough on this. Alison this was Alison's first script for the show.
Scary.
Far from her first script, because she is an excellent writer who we're very lucky to get to work with us, and this is also Deborah Chow's first episode, and the two of them really knocked it out of the park.
Excellent team.
I was lucky to work with Deborah. It was really cool. We looked at each other on day one and said, okay.
Who peddles drop phones to criminals?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
You called Jimmy a scumbag.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're right.
Yeah, don't say that. You're right.
Yeah.
My man.
She'll turn that around. Now she's got a personal
You said the
vendetta.
wrong thing.
Personal vendetta.
Love that cut.
We talked a lot about how it's like family. Like you can feel those feelings, but someone else says it out loud. No way.
It makes it worse if you suspect it might be true and from some angle. But
the ponytail's mad.
The pony. That's true.
That's a weird jacket. little more stylish than I.
Is that not a Bob jacket more than it is
I think that this was. I believe this was an edition on the day. There was an
it's all right. It's not the worst thing ever.
This was the very first scene that we shot of this
It's
episode.
all right.
I think it works fine.
All right.
He's in a different frame of mind. That's what it kind of tells me.
No matter what, he's gonna have to do some time.
Well, thanks for trying. I mean, he knows Huel's not going to do any time.
Yeah.
Huel just doesn't care about running away that much. It's just it's a totally legit choice. And he knows he'll just make it easily. He knows Huel will just go, forget it. Nope, I'm running.
You're gonna tell him to stay put. Yeah, sure.
I'm not believing that.
I'll do mine. Jimmy, come on. What does that mean?
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
And then I get to hit floor it. Yeah, baby. Always flooring it.
You're good at that.
Bob, you are an exceptional driver.
Well, and you know who else
on this
is?
show.
Ray Seehorn, because she
You guys.
whipped this Yui. Made me a little
A lot of
nervous.
precision driving on this show. Surprising.
This is a hell of a plan she's concocting in her head. It's not. I don't know. I think it's pretty good. It's a lot. So let's see. The first thought is, what if we conjured up people? What if we drew attention to this case?
What if we
in
build,
a way?
What if we build Huel up instead of cutting the cop down?
Right. That's a good.
Jimmy wants to go low. she decides to go high.
Right.
I thought it was, oh, they have stationery there. Do I need stationery?
Just like, I like craft.
Stationery.
I love This is, every writer, loves stationery, loves pens. So it's just an excuse for us to get a lot of pens.
It's like all the stuff we'd want to have in the writer's room.
Even crayons.
Yeah.
We love crayons.
People express themselves in different ways.
It's so true.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a cue from Dave. It was a tricky one.
That's true. Yeah, it's always these little, the cue, how much is it there to tell you? And it's always his question, what is she thinking? What are we supposed to get from this?
Listen, I have a better way.
Awesome.
That's a cliffhanger.
It's what do we call it? The office supplies cliffhanger.
That's
classic. The classic.
Game of Thrones did that.
I think Staples is trying to get in on it.
Oh, if only.
Well done, Alison.
And to you.
Really great.
I like it.
A lot of fun stuff happening in there.
Well, especially that teaser is one for the books, I think.
Yeah, the teaser got a lot of
Oh, yeah.
got a lot of love.
Yeah. It's great. That's why.
Thanks, everybody.